Newsroom. This is 2 News Live at 3:30.
Friday afternoon. Thanks for being with us here in downtown Salt Lake. I'm Brian Cheney. We have a live look outside of the DA's office here in downtown Salt Lake, just a few blocks from where we are right now. And this was a conversation that Sim Gill had with some members of the media about the stabbing that took place at West Valley's Valley Fair Mall just a few days ago. This involved a potential hate crime. We've reported about this. You've seen the articles on our website. A lot of you are reacting to this. And he announced a number of different things pertaining to the suspect who was taken into custody rather quickly and was apprehended after the actual act of stabbing by members of the public who jumped in to help. Liv Kelleher is outside of the district attorney's office, and Liv was there for the briefing, if you will, from Sim Gill, and waiting for her to pop in the screen here. There she is. So, Liv, what did we learn from the district attorney about these charges, and what are his plans after reviewing the case?
Yeah, Brian, a lot of pretty gruesome details here. We now know that suspect, his name is Peter Michael Larson. He's 48 years old. We've done some reporting on him already this week. But we've now learned that he has been charged with 2 counts of felony aggravated attempted murder. Now, he's made it very clear to investigators that he went to Valley Fair Mall to hurt Muslim people. He said to officers and to investigators that he went to the mall because he knew that Muslims were there, that he intended to kill his target. He did not kill him, thanks to bystanders stepping in, but he wanted to make a statement. He wanted to do something that was dramatic, to make people rise up and take the country back. So as of right now, 2 felony attempted murder charges and a 3rd charge for the possession of the weapon. We also learned that he actually purchased that weapon at the mall. He went to a movie in the morning, purchased a 4-inch blade with brass knuckles and an American flag on it, and then approached the victim here at his kiosk in the mall.
Also, an update from at least somebody who was with the victim here recently. What was the latest on his condition?
So I did speak with the imam, the head of the Utah Islamic Center, who said that the victim is doing better. They expect him to be released from the hospital soon. Overall, this has been very traumatic for the Muslim community here. We were just talking about hate crimes. This, in Utah, colloquially, we can call this a hate crime. It is a victim targeting enhancement. That doesn't affect charges here because he has been charged with a 1st-degree felony, but it could enhance sentencing down the line if he is convicted. Sim Gill spoke about who the victims are in a hate crime. It is the person who's actually targeted, it is the community that person belongs to, and it is our wider community who is witnessing and experiencing this amount of tension and hate in our community. So hate crimes affect more than just that immediate community. The Muslim community coming together. They were at prayers this afternoon. Sim Gill has been there the past few days talking about this, speaking about this. The victim, he is doing better, but he did sustain over a dozen stab wounds, so really serious injuries here.
All right, Liv Kelleher reporting live for us outside of the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office. More of that coverage coming up a little bit throughout the afternoon and evening here on KUTV 2 News. Now to the case of Caleb Reese, who is being sentenced today, was sentenced about an hour ago or so, in the death of 20-year-old Raina Wynn. That was his girlfriend at the time. This has to do with Raina committing suicide, and the prosecutors argued that Reese's actions contributed to her death. And just about an hour ago, Reese was sentenced to up to 20 years in prison, up to 5 years for each of the 4 charges. That you see there live is the set-up press conference that was made by some attorneys, Jim McConkey and his crew, and that family is going to be talking coming up at about 4 o'clock. So we were anticipating hearing them coming up in a few minutes here in the 3:30 half hour, but that is not the case right now. They pushed that back, and we will monitor that because that's a case that's gotten a lot of interest in general over the course of the last day or so, where this, the justice system just takes so long. So there's this moment where you kind of have to wait for things to come to finality, but the family was waiting for this, and they will speak about it publicly in the next couple of minutes. We'll hope to have an update for you coming up on 2 News at 4 o'clock. So let's join you back here live downtown Salt Lake City on Main Street. Just like that, we are outside. Just like that, the sun is out. And once again, the suit jacket was a miserable choice, but that is what we deal with here on live television. Chase Thomason, wash, rinse, repeat, basically over the last couple of days.
That's
Are
right.
we seeing more of the same as it pertains to that monsoon moisture?
Well, we're seeing more of that flash flooding, right? And that's what we were concerned about because we're seeing so much more moisture in the atmosphere compared to maybe a few days ago, especially in the mountains of central and southern Utah, where we have those burn scars and those debris flows looking pretty more common now because there's just so much water in the atmosphere. You can probably maybe feel the humidity just a bit here in downtown Salt Lake City. I mean, for us here in Utah, this is kind of crazy. It makes it feel a few degrees hotter than it actually is. But there is a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and we have some big storms now going up in the mountains of northern Utah. So I want to take Weather One you'll see on radar where we have some of those thunderstorms right now. A few thunderstorms for the Wasatch back, but there's also a few thunderstorms now kind of coming off the Wasatch Range in southern Utah County. So if you're in Payson, Santaquin, Spanish Fork, that area, some gusty winds, a little bit of lightning, a little bit of rain. But if these storms hold together, Brian, there is a chance, I think maybe a slightly better chance that they could roll off the Wasatch Range and impact us here along the Wasatch Front later this afternoon and through this evening.
Something definitely here in the metro area people are going to keep an eye on because we haven't, to an extent, gotten a lot of that moisture, central southern Utah, as we've seen from some of those videos coming off the burn scars, specifically the Cottonwood fire.
I mean, it's been raining every single day at my house in the Wasatch back, right? But a lot of folks in Salt Lake, where's my rain? Well, again, there's a lot of water in the atmosphere, so rain is a good thing, but it's also causing a lot of problems. Weather 2 shows you down in southern Utah where we have some of those stronger thunderstorms, including more flash flood warnings for some of those burn scars in central Utah. You were posting that video of that debris flow from today. Tell me more about that.
Well, that video was sent to me last night. I was being dad, so I didn't see it until late. But that was just the first dose of what could be more coming off of that burn scar. That was on the Paiute County side. That was over by Marysville. And once again, they had a debris flow come across the road today.
And that's from a different burn scar, right? That's not part of the Cottonwood. That's part of the Silver.
It was called the Cottonwood on the alert. I personally thought that area was the Silver King fire burn scar from 2024, and that was south of Marysville. It went all over the road with rocks.
They're
and
very
debris.
close together.
They are. Well, the Paiute County and the Beaver County area, they've dealt with fire the last 3 years of massive acreage and major impacts. So coming up at 4 o'clock, we'll obviously...
we're going to talk more about the weekend forecast, right? More of these pop-up thunderstorms, but maybe our rain chance is a little bit lower for the valleys this weekend. But it does look like the whole steering flow and everything will come together for next week with some really higher rain chances for the valleys.
Coming up at 4, I'll also show you a video that was sent my way from Bicknell, so outside of the Torrey area, of another debris flow coming through. I'm going to pass the baton here. You can hold that. This is Brad Washa. Brad has been on the program before in various facets here. Wildland Fire Science with USU, but also works actively in wildland fire to this day, just coming off an assignment the other day. So thanks for making some time on limited sleep for us, Brad.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, just got off the Aspen Acres fire in Colorado with the Alaskan incident.
Talk about devastating here in Utah. I mean, that is another level. We don't have to get into that now. I know you've done your fair share of public meetings with members of that community over the last few days. I want to talk to you about burn scars, because we are experiencing the what could happen to the fresh burn scar and then what could also happen to the older burn scar, all in the last 2 days here in Utah. So what work is done right after a fire as it pertains to the landscape?
Well, even as the fire is going on, we bring in a team called the Burn Area Emergency Rehab Team to start looking at what could possibly happen post-fire as far as flooding and sediment delivery. And, when the fire's going on, we're putting in fire line, but we're repairing that fire line so that doesn't become a problem. And, early on looking at what are some measures that we can take to prevent post-fire sediment delivery and that sort of thing.
Just quickly, you and I have talked about this before, but there's the cost of fire suppression. There's also the cost of what happens after the fire. And in some cases, it gets more costly, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, see the flames and everything like that and look at that as being the costly part. And Dollar Ridge Fire from, I think, 2018 would be a good example. They spent about $22 million on the suppression effort, but even the town of Duchesne had to put in $28 million to upgrade their water intake system so that the sediment wasn't getting into their drinking water. And I know on the Bear Fire, which was by Price Rec, US 6 kept getting closed down because of flooding issues, and UDOT had to put in about $5 million to replace the culverts that were there to be able to handle the flow rates that were coming through there.
What makes a burn area more susceptible than another burn area? Why one versus the other, even if both are able to get that moisture? Is it terrain? Is it soil moisture? What falls into all of that?
So part of it's the severity of the fire itself. So certain areas the fire is low intensity, surface fire. If it gets in the canopy and burns out the canopy in a very severe situation, then you have a couple things. One, you can have the soil that's impacted, and it can actually become what's called hydrophobic, so that the water will not penetrate into the soil and it will run off. You also lose that overstory in the canopy that's intercepting the raindrops, so you have kind of a two-edged sword there.
I'm glad you're here to talk about this because just yesterday we had debris flows move down and impact Huntington Canyon. So Emery, Sanpete County line, older fires. I mean, we're talking 2012, even before the turn of the decade there, that they believe were the burn scar areas. How long can burn scars be susceptible to being flood prone and debris flow runoff? Is this, I've always thought it was the first 5 years could be the worst, but we're hearing decades now.
I mean, that's a Sealy fire, but from 2012. And again, the forest structure is lost, so it takes decades for that to come back. So, there's measures that can be put in place, and like on the Sealy fire, I mean, they had issues with the water intake for the Huntington power plant and had to put structures in to kind of keep logs and debris from getting into that area. But a forest just doesn't grow overnight, so it can take a long time for that to recover and reduce that impact.
Brad, thanks for coming by.
Well,
always nice to have you. Yes, the expertise, we appreciate it.
Well,
because
thanks for having me.
Especially a topic like this. I mean, the burn scar situation, this could be weeks, maybe more than a month, that we're still having this dialogue over and over again. Speaking of water, coming up, we are going to talk a little bit more about the current state of Lake Powell. Where do things go from here? A lot of you are talking about this. 2 News listens on the other side. Welcome back, live in downtown Salt Lake City. We are inside. We transitioned from the muggy weather, if you will. Felt very New Englandy out there. I was used to it, at least. Let's head over into the Content Center. Something that just came down here would be the reaction and the actual license revocation for another campus related to the Provo Canyon school, if you will. Meg is over here. What do we have right now, and what is Paris Hilton saying?
Yeah, so the Department of Health and Human Services just barely revoked the license for the school's Provo campus. They revoked the license of the Springville campus about a week and a half ago. And this comes after years of allegations of abuse from students, including Paris Hilton, who attended the school in the 90s. So she's been a huge advocate of closing the school. And she released a statement just a few minutes ago that you can find right here on her homepage celebrating the announcement. She's really excited about that. She's been working hard.
Working to gather a little bit more insight on all of this. David Ochoa is working on this for us right now here at KUTV. This debris flow video is fascinating. It shows just how fast a dry wash turns into nothing but trees and rocks and everything coming off a fire scar.
No, it's quite an interesting video. You can see just how fast it's coming right there in Paiute County. So the families were worried about the wildfire, and now they're worried about the floods that come afterwards, so they can't seem to catch a break.
Let's finish with a little feel-good here from our friends at Utah Highway Patrol. I like when they put out these feel-good stories. This one involves Spider-Man. I know a lot of you are going to get interested in this one. What do you have up here?
This is a nice story to end this segment right here. This little boy lost his Spider-Man shoe on the highway, and his parents didn't think that they'd be able to find it. It was on I-15, and then they were. The troopers, Utah Highway Patrol troopers, were able to find it and return it to this little boy. We posted a video of the interaction right here on our YouTube, and the little boy gave him back some stickers as a thank you. All
right, Megan, over in the Content Center. A lot to look at on KUTV.com, also on our YouTube page. Thank you, Megan. Time to listen to you here on 2 News. We have a lot of things that you are
from our
always
Main
looking
Street
at on
Newsroom.
social media, including, we'll wait for that to take its shape, including some of our comments that you're seeing, a lot of our articles that you're seeing. Lake Powell has been a topic driver in the state. I wonder why. Well, it's hot, it's dry, you notice the water levels, you notice the changing levels over the years. There's a lot of conversation about this. Jack Schmidt from Colorado River Studies here with USU Extension, kind enough to join us here in our 2 News Listens segment here. Jack, if we have you here, I'm hoping we do, where does Lake Powell stand right about now compared to what you've seen in years past? Where are we?
Lake Powell today is 4 feet above its historic low. That was set in April of 2023. At the rate at which Lake Powell has been dropping, Lake Powell will probably go below that historic low in early September. Beyond September, Lake Powell will get increasingly lower and its elevations will be comparable to conditions in the late 1960s.
So, Jack, what does ultimately happen to that area, to that water body, if the levels keep falling? How would you classify getting to certain stages for those that don't?
Well,
I don't understand it, so I need you to explain.
No. We're in unprecedented territory. The Height Marina was abandoned long ago. The Bullfrog Marina was abandoned this year. The marinas are moving out into deeper water. But more importantly, the Bureau of Reclamation projects that by earliest February, the release regime out of Powell will be extremely complicated. And by the end of April, it's likely that power production out of Glen Canyon Dam will be at risk for sure. We'll be right down there at the absolute margin below which we can't produce hydropower at all. That has environmental implications into Grand Canyon, has implications for reservoir recreation. It has implications for people who want to explore the new side canyons that are all emerging, that are spectacular hiking. So it depends what you see on, but we are in truly unprecedented territory.
Jack, what needs to happen to get water back into Powell? How does that even work? Where does it begin?
Lake Powell's a big bathtub. A bathtub is only maintained by how much water is coming in from the faucet and how much is going out the drain. This year is the second lowest runoff year of the 21st century. So we've had even worse years, but the point is we've had a very low level already. Lake Powell will go down steadily for the next 9 months. That's just the way it works. The only thing we can do to increase the faucet is to release water out of Flaming Gorge Reservoir, and some water is being released there. The only other way to maintain levels a bit is to reduce the releases downstream through the Grand Canyon. That has environmental implications in the Grand Canyon and has real implications to the levels in Lake Mead. And so there's only so much you can shut down the drain. Ultimately, it's all about the fact that we as a human society are using more water than is the natural supply in this warmed world. And there's really no option other than that every one of the 7 basin states, including Utah, consumes less water to be comparable to what the diminishing supply is.
Jack, I appreciate you joining us. We probably should have spent all 30 minutes with you, and I hope you can come back so we can do it again. I have a laundry list beyond what's here, so thank you. Let's do this again, because I know there are more questions, especially for people out there watching this. But I hope to catch up with you again, sir, soon, and I hope we can bring more answers to this just big bubble of questions surrounding Lake Powell. That is Jack Schmidt joining us here on 2 News Live. Thank you, Jack. Let's keep looking at what you are saying out there in our 2 News Listens segment. This is a really fun one. I'm glad we have a fun one to show you. Is that MJ? No, it's Josiah. He likes to look like MJ, though. He's got his dream to make his lemonade stand be inspired after Michael Jackson. He's got the moves there. He's over in Kearns. This 4-year-old wanted to earn his own money for a costume, so the community there was able to rally to make his dream come true. Our crew got there earlier today. He was already in costume, and we got to talk to him. Take a listen.
I'm the real Michael Jackson.
I'm the real one. A lot of you are talking about this, especially in the neighborhood groups. You are also talking about something in the far west area that I found to be very interesting, especially where I grew up, not here in Utah, but I've been here for, 7 years or so. I don't know if I've ever seen a firefly in Utah, but that is something apparently getting some questions in the far west area. So if we have this post, I want to pull it up for you because that would spearhead the reason why we are talking about this. But there are residents there that worry development could impact firefly habitat. We've got a look on our screen there of some of the fireflies from some of the posts. So growth versus preserving something rare in Utah is the conversation. Do we need to grow more, or should we be preserving these fireflies? Here's the part of that post with a lot of the text there you saw on your screen. Right now, there's planners weighing housing needs versus wildlife impacts. That is exactly what, not just in far west they're dealing with, but pick any foothill area, any bench of perhaps the Wasatch Front. That's the supply and demand. Do we build more and do we push more things out? Well, today the conversation that a lot of you are talking about is about fireflies. So we have reached out to the Far West Planning Commission to learn a little bit more about this. Again, it's just another topic that we are hearing that you are talking about, which we are always watching here on 2 News. We want to see what you're saying on social media, and we want your thoughts on a lot of these topics. And based on some of those questions, we are heading out there to find some answers. Coming